Welcome to Backstage with Becca B with special guest Jess LeProtto. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, he made his Broadway debut in The Boy from Oz when he was a kid, made the top 8 in So You Think You Can Dance Season 8, has been featured in popular Broadway shows such as Newsies, Cats, On the Town, and Hello Dolly, can be seen in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, and is currently part of the cast of The Wanderer at Papermill Playhouse. Please welcome Jess LeProtto.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for joining me on this today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I'm very excited.
Of course. So excited to have you on. I was studying your resume over the weekend, and oh my gosh, I'm just like so impressed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
So there's lots to talk about, so I'm going to just jump right in.
Okay.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a theater performer, first of all?
Well, yeah. Well, it started with dance. Dance was my gateway. That's where I started. My sister, who is a dancer herself, dance teacher too. She's 3 years older than me. I'm the youngest of three. My brother's the oldest. She's the middle. I'm the youngest. And she went to a local dance studio, and I tagged along when I was 3 years old with my mom to go pick her up, drop her off. And then I just kind of watched and studied and observed at a young age. And then my parents thought, let's give this a shot. And they tried it on my brother. They tried to see if he would kind of have the same bug, but he didn't. He actually became a musician.
Oh,
So,
okay. So it's kind of same field.
yeah, well, I would say that a lot of us in my family, my brother is a musician and a music teacher. My sister's a dance choreographer, dance teacher. I'm a performer, teacher as well. My father was an actor at some point. My mother, I say, is the only normal one of the group.
I mean, so you all could essentially just like have like a family show going on there.
We could, and you know what? I think that idea was always bouncing off each other's heads to see if we could ever do something like that, like the Partridge Family. That would be nice.
Yes. Hey, you never know. Maybe one day.
Who
Do
knows?
you have any like writers in your family?
Well, no, I mean, like, I like writing, on the side as something that something to do creatively, but not professionally, no. So I might need to, to be a detective and see if there are any distant relatives who just so happen to be like novelists or writers of some kind. Like, hey, join us.
Yeah, like come on, we need to make a musical about our family.
Right, exactly.
Yes. So, what was the first live theater show that you saw when you realized, hey, I want to be up on stage doing that?
Ooh, I mean, well, the first live show that I saw, well, the first live Broadway, my first Broadway show that I saw was The Lion King. That was the very first show that I saw, the best. And I've seen it 3 times since, and it's one of my favorites. And well, aside from that theatrical experience, I also was exposed to more of the performance and, just the all-around performer from movie musicals. So I watched a lot of different films, Singing in the Rain and West Side Story to be exact, A Chorus Line. So those are actually my 3 favorite musicals, but I was introduced to them through their movie adaptations because I grew up with the VHS. Did you grow up with VHSs?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay,
did.
okay, great. I'm not as old as I am. Okay, great. But yeah, so
Oh, I think it cut out a little bit.
that I was introduced to that standpoint as well. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, I put like Annie in the VHS all the time when I was little. Like that was my go-to, was Annie. And
Classic.
yeah, I
Classic.
think my parents had the whole thing memorized by the time I was like 6.
In fact, my brother studied music, majored in music, Monmouth University. That's where they shot Daddy Warbucks's estate, his house,
Oh my
on one of
God.
the. Yes.
Oh my goodness. And
So
the
So the first
19,
time,
the first one?
yeah, no, so the first time that I went there and visited my brother on campus, I went to that building. I was like, Cecile will pick out all your clothes.
Yes. You're like, this looks familiar. I'm gonna just do the number.
So yeah, I was just taken back by it. I was like, wait a minute, I know this building.
So the 1982 one, right? Because I think
Yes,
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 because I think the 1999 one is like was like live on the Warner Brothers lot, and um,
yes. The 1982, exactly, the original
yes,
film. Yes.
we love the original. So growing up, how did you work on becoming a well-rounded performer? Because you do everything.
Well, like I said, so it started with dance first, and then when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old, I started to take voice lessons locally. I'm from New Jersey originally, so I was taking voice lessons with different teachers for any given amount of time. And then by around 8 or 9 years old, I started auditioning locally in New Jersey and in New York for anything and everything. So there was voiceovers, commercials, regional theater, professional theater, Broadway, anything that, I could be considered for. And these were like open calls sometimes. I had an agent at an earlier age as well, as to where they were able to have me be seen for different stuff. But it was really just, going in and being exposed just to the audition lifestyle at a very early age. And then the exposure to perform, that really came out through my dance career, educational career as a competitive dancer. So I grew up as a competitive dancer with the local dance studio, and I pretty much performed for about 10 years now, a little more than that, on stage. So we did countless amount of regional competitions and then a nationals every summer. So I was always on stage. If it was not singing or acting or role, I was still dancing and performing. So that's where I kind of got my performance chops from, just from that, steady repetition.
And is it kind of like Dance Moms where it's like every weekend you go to like a new
More,
competition?
more or less, yes, more or less. The season doesn't really start until the end of, I would say, January. It doesn't really pick up steam until March, regional season, and then the nationals are always in the summertime. Exactly, like maybe, yeah, like late June, early July, 4th of July weekend. So you would have all that time prior to that to rehearse and get it down. Yeah, every routine. It wasn't just one routine. We would do solos, duets, trios, small groups, large groups, production numbers, you name it. And they would be different genres too. So you would do like tap, lyrical, contemporary, sometimes hip hop, definitely a lot of musical theater. Um, so it was all those things. And you had different choreographers to work with as well that were in-house choreographers, sometimes choreographers that we asked to come in, who I've met, through that experience and who I've worked with since then. So that connection and that kind of collaboration and then studying and, perfecting that craft through competitions was really like my training. Training on the spot, really.
Yeah, so you kind of like learned the process of memorizing multiple pieces of choreography very quickly
Yes.
and of using like your face to like act during the numbers.
Yes, and then like with musical theater numbers, to be more particular, it's just like, it was using musicality through the music. How silent films were kind of back in the day. So it's amazing how, we've moved so much and we've grown so much, but there are still some wonderful fundamentals that we still hold on to, which is amazing. So,
Yes. And I feel like the fundamentals that we hold on to are in a lot of the shows that you've done on Broadway. And correct me if I'm wrong, I counted last night on IBDB, the Broadway database, and it was 8 Broadway shows. And then you toured with Hello Dolly. So you made your Broadway debut with Boy from Oz. How
yes.
old were you when you made your Broadway when you got cast in that show? And was it a big deal for you, like at the time being so young, or was it just like, oh, this is another show, I'm performing on stage?
Oh no, this was a big deal because what happened was I had auditioned. No, I was asked. No, what was it? I was I was interested in going in to audition for the role, and I was misled because they were telling me that they were looking for a different type, but then they wound up casting someone who was similar to my type, so I wasn't able to go in and be considered for it in the beginning. But then I was able to come in as a vacation swing. So I came in, and I auditioned, and my good friend Nicole Valens, who was a casting director at the time, who I didn't know because I was so young. I was 11 years old, so I was very young. Um, had casted me in that show, and it was a big deal because I was going to be making my Broadway debut. I knew it was going to be, not 8 shows a week, and I knew that it was not going to be steadily, but it was a gift because it was going to be my first Broadway experience, to work, in the Broadway communities. It was a thrill. It was a real exciting moment, and that was a perfect show to kind of usher me in with the people that I met, the people who I'm still friends with from that show, uh, just the crew, the cast, the show, Hugh Jackman, who was the lead, the star of the show. So everything really came together in that moment in time. It was special, and I got to go on once, which was really special.
I saw that on the video online of you dancing for like I don't know how many minutes straight, but like I saw that on that video that you got to go on once, and that Hugh Jackman was very kind that day, and that stood out to you. I mean, I watched the video of Hugh gifting the Tom Brady jersey to
Yep.
his to boy who plays Little Winthrop and Music Man right now. So
Yes.
a class act.
He is a class act. I mean, like, and I've been blessed to work with a lot of people like Hugh, who are just generous people, and they are the leads of the show, and they really set the bar and they set the tone just for the show and the cast and such. Hugh Jackman, Bette Midler, John Stamos, a lot of the people that you would think who are like these A-list, double A-list, triple A-list celebrities, kind of be all amongst themselves and about themselves are not. They're really, they are considerate and wonderful people who give us, because we don't have the platform that they do. So when they have those moments to be generous with their time and their platform and to give those people appreciation for their work, I mean, that really says it all. So yeah, they're amazing.
Do you remember the day you made your Broadway debut? I know it was you were a kid. So like,
I don't remember the exact day, but I remember it was August 2004.
oh,
Yes.
what stood out to you that day? Do you remember like
Ooh, yeah, there was a lot. I invited. I was permitted to invite 40 people to the show.
that's a good number?
Yes, so it was 40 people. And it was my family, my friends, my parents came, my brother and sister came. I had all these different people come to the show, so that was exciting. And then I remember walking down. So at the end of the show, there's a big production number, and it's a spiral staircase, and it's a piano.
Ooh.
It's a piano spiral staircase. So we're walking down this. I remember being at the top, and it's the Imperial Theater, so it's a gorgeous theater. I remember being at the top of that staircase and seeing everyone just, in the audience, just going nuts, going bonkers. It was just like, because it's a big party at the end, it's called I Go to Rio. So I'm walking down, and then I remember the very last thing, which was we're doing the curtain call as planned, as choreographed, and then the curtain comes down, and then Hugh Jackman gestures to the curtain operator to just hoist it up one more time, and comes up, pushes this little 11-year-old boy downstage center for one more bow. So that was really, the cherry on the cake. And then I remember also my parents just so happened to be sitting next to, I forgot the actress, the name of the actress, but they were starstruck. A friend of theirs also was sitting next to them because there was a woman from the show 6 Feet Under.
Oh.
So that was so, and they were just kind of like, oh my god, it's oh my god,
They're
6 Feet
living their
Under.
best life.
Yeah, they were living their best life in another, just living that moment. I was kind of like, wow. But it was, and I just remember going to the stage door. I had pictures that my parents took of me at the stage door with Hugh Jackman. It was just like, the barricades and such. I mean, this is going back almost 20 years ago. So that was in and of itself just everything. It really was the best introduction to welcome to Broadway, kid. So
I mean, and I'm sure you were thrilled to sign like all the playbills and stuff, especially at age 11. Like,
oh
you're
yeah.
like,
I mean,
hi, I'm.
it was surreal, and I just remember, and this is kind of like it's very epilogue type. I just remember after all the hype, after all the craziness at the stage tour, I just remember going across the street with my mom and getting a slice of pizza and a Pepsi.
Love it. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, normal day
I was
now.
just kind of like, wow, yeah, but I'm kind of hungry.
That happened. Now I want pizza.
But yeah, yeah.
I mean, as a kid would do.
As a kid would do. I mean, like it was one of those things. So it's just like, yeah, well, everyone seems to have gone back in their cars and headed back to New Jersey. So I'm just gonna. I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, go about my day. So I want to talk. First of all, you also did Grinch, and you did it for 2 seasons. I saw.
Yes,
I
I did.
how is that like being in a Christmas show? So magical.
Well, I have a soft spot for Christmas shows because they're just they're the most fun because it's the most fun time of the year. Um,
During Christmas in New York.
yeah, I mean, like, and it's just exciting, especially when you open a Christmas show in New York, and like, because you have all of November, because we opened, I think, the first season of Grinch like in early November, and then we went through all of November through December until like the first week of January. So it's a really fun show, and the one thing that I remember from that show at the time, how what was it? Wicked was consistently number one on the grosses every week. They grossed the most every week. They were consistent top box office all the time. And I remember, I don't know how far into the run of the first season of Grinch, but somehow or other we surpassed Wicked one week. And
Ooh.
I think we were the first show in a long strain, a long, chain of weeks that had broken Wicked's record. So I'm just kind of like, we must be doing something right, and I guess people want to come see the show. So it was really really fun, and it was two casts of kids. There was two casts of 12 kids. There were 24
My
kids
goodness.
in the show. So you can just imagine all the hoopla and all of the craziness
Like
of all
cool.
these kids going nuts backstage. And it was really, really fun. It was a great cast. Again, people who I worked with then, I'm still working with today on different projects and different shows. So it's amazing how interconnected and small the community is, though it is growing more and more. But because you're working with other people and mutual friends and stuff, it's crazy just how, interconnected everything is. It's cool.
Did you ever participate in like the Broadway kid stuff when you were younger?
You mean Broadway Kids, the group?
Like the album?
Oh, well, I was a part of the group. I was a part of Broadway Kids. I did not appear on any of the Broadway Kids CDs, but I did appear in the group. I don't even know, at least 5 years or so, maybe more for sure. And I toured with the Broadway Kids. I was a part of that company. We went to different cities. We did shows in Columbus, Ohio, Milwaukee. We even went to Barbados for Broadway Kids. We did a ton of stuff, and
Wow.
it was really really fun because any chance that I wasn't working professionally in a Broadway show of that scale, I was doing other smaller things. So I was working on the Broadway Kids dance competition, sometimes school musicals. I was part of other small groups as well. I did an off-Broadway show sometimes called The People Garden, which I did as a kid.
Ooh.
Sugar Beats, which was a music group as well growing up. So I was always, thankfully, I had good guidance from my parents and who knew what avenues I could take, what opportunities that I maybe were able to be filled up. So it was really, really exciting time.
So you were very like, I'm gonna go and do this while I'm off from this show.
Well, yeah, it was those opportunities that found themselves that just kind of like happened to fall in my lap. So it was really, really good timing on on some parts, and then also just like still keep me active and inspired to just continue in this business because it takes a lot of willpower and
Yes.
skill and confidence and determination to continue through this business. It's not an easy one. So thankfully, the constant, flow of doing something, working on something as a kid, kept me going.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love Broadway Kids. Oh my gosh. That was like my introduction to Broadway, I think. My parents got me all the albums for Christmas.
There you go. That'll do it. Yep.
Yep.
And
So,
that was that. Oh, before then, actually, that was my first introduction to Newsies, Broadway Kids, and I'll tell you why.
oh,
Because they put out a CD called I forgot the name of it. It was a movie themed CD,
I know what you're talking about.
and they did a Newsies medley, and that was my first introduction to Newsies. It was not the film; it was the music. Thanks to Broadway Kids.
Oh my goodness. I know what you're talking about. The Broadway Kids at the Movies album.
Yes.
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 Yes, the best albums.
The best.
Those were amazing. I still have them over like in my like CD collection.
Yeah.
So you were on season 8 of So You Think You Can Dance. What made you want to audition for that show?
Well, I was a fan of the show, and in particular, I was a fan of what was it? It was season 5. There was a dancer named Evan Kasperzak who was on the show, and Evan was a musical theater dancer. He qualified himself as a Broadway / musical theater dancer. They always call them the dancers, Broadway dancers on the show. And he really set the bar, and he really introduced the idea that, there were other genres that dancers could appear as for themselves to apply for the show. Because a lot of it was predominantly like contemporary jazz, hip hop. There weren't a lot of other styles, sometimes ballroom, sometimes other styles, specialty, novelty styles, but musical theater was rarely shown for a dancer to qualify themselves as. And then when I saw Evan on the show, I was like,
Oh.
he really opened the door. He really, really did. So that, along with being a fan of the show, and I was 18 at the time, I had turned 18 2 months before the auditions came around in New York for that season. I was like, let's give it a shot. And then I went to Brooklyn, and that was my first taste of So You Can Dance, and then through the callbacks in Vegas week, and then on the show. So yeah.
And you got pretty far. Did you ever imagine that you would get that far as you got?
Well, my goal was to make it to the top 10. That was the goal. And then because I knew that the top 10 had the opportunity to go on the road, go on tour. So I knew that if that was as far as I got, I'm good. Would I like to go further? Absolutely. But the real goal was to get to the top 10, and I made it the top 8, so I made it past another week. And I was very, very excited to find out that tour was going to happen. And then we did 32 cities in a month and a half, and it was a bus and truck tour. And we slept on buses after shows. We would check in early in the morning, sleep the rest of the morning, come back, go to the venue and tech and rehearse whatever we needed before the shows at night, do meet and greets and stuff. So it was crazy, but it was truly a unique experience.
That glitz and glamour life going on.
Oh yeah, well, and also just the bus and truck for the tour. I mean, like the TV show was different because I don't think any of us had really experienced anything like that before. I don't think any dancer, especially for those who are 18 who come into it kind of young, experience anything like that in their life up to that point. So to experience that and then to do the tour, it was like something that's completely strange and weird and new and exciting and challenging. And then the tour was something like, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. So I was really excited for that comfort to come back. So yeah.
How many dances a night did you do on that tour?
Oh, I think in the show length it was about 25 numbers, but I think I did like maybe 18 of those or something like that. Yeah.
So stamina practice for Newsies, which
Yes.
came up next.
Yes.
Before I get to Newsies, I want to ask from my friend Michael. He said, what was the most valuable thing you learned during your time with So You Think You Can Dance that has helped you till now?
Well, it really just helped me to be more of a well-balanced dancer and a more just, more versatile dancer because I was introduced to a lot of different styles and genres on that show, especially ballroom. So it was a lot of different styles and just understanding how different styles operate differently and how you move because, especially with ballroom, it's a whole different foundation and physicality and movement, and then just musicality in different styles and work and collaborating with different people. That was the real thing too. That was exciting because not only do we have to collaborate and learn from different choreographers every week, we had to learn from each other. So it's understanding how other dancers work, empathizing with them, and then them empathizing with me just to kind of be on the same page. So because we're all coming from different walks of life. So that show really kind of brings all the same fish into the same pond.
And like synchronizing too on stage
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A
and
lot of
telling
that
the same
stuff.
story.
Yeah.
So, what was your audition process like for Newsies? And at the time that you auditioned, did you realize how big it was going to become?
Well, here's the thing. So I auditioned for Newsies when it was about to premiere for Papermill Playhouse. And
Yes.
then I was supposed to actually do it. I was given an offer to do the show at Papermill. And then I held back on the offer because I was not sure because that summer I was on So You Think You Could Dance. And I didn't know whether or not if by making the top 10 would that allow me to continue with to start the show at Papermill. But as a matter of fact, as luck would have it, I would continue with the tour for So You Think You Could Dance, and then I was not able to do Newsies at Papermill. But uh, they announced that Newsies was coming to Broadway, and I had the good opportunity to audition again, thankfully, because they were looking to reconsider, casting and such. So I went back in, and that's when I joined, and it was pretty straightforward. I did maybe it was a couple dance callbacks for the first time around, and then for the Broadway transfer, it was only like maybe one or two auditions, but it was very quick. It was very swift because the show was moving quickly from Paper Mill to New
To
York
Broadway.
very quickly.
They were like, we got to take this show to Broadway. It's going to be a huge success.
Oh yeah, and like it was just because they knew that the demand was so high. So we were just, for us joining the company, we were welcomed with open arms, and then we were all just kind of like, let's say, and at the time it was only a limited run, so we weren't sure how long it was going to last, if it was going to continue on. But then again, as luck would have it, that it would be a huge success.
Yes, I mean, and to this day, I mean, there's a couple concerts going on. Is it this week that it's happening?
It's happening today.
Today, yeah.
It is.
Okay, so yeah, there's a couple concerts happening, reunion concerts that I sold out in like I don't know how many minutes, but
It was very quick.
yeah, yes, that's what I heard. Because my friend who lives in New York was like trying to get tickets, and she was like, does anyone have tickets for sale?"
Yeah, well, like, cause I'm sure a lot of people who I knew were like, "Yo, give me tickets" or something like that. I'm like, I don't have any tickets. Like the fancies got those tickets like so quick in advance. Like they were on it. They were on it.
They were, and I mean, which speaks to the success that Newsies had when it was on Broadway. When was the moment that you realized how successful the show was on Broadway, and why do you think fans loved it so much?
Ooh, well, I knew that something was definitely rocking when we got the Tony Award nominations, and then when one of our executives at Disney Theatricals came to us and said, "You know what, guys, we're gonna give this a go right now because it seems like the audiences want it. The audiences want to come back again and again and see this show." So that's what happened, and we were ecstatic. We were like, we can't believe it. It was all thanks to the fans, and it was because of that reaction, and also just the timeliness of it all too. Because at the time, uh, that was when Occupy Wall Street was happening too downtown, and it was timely, but it was also effective to where it was a boisterous production and for people to really see like incredible dance choreography being presented on a Broadway stage like that, it was surreal. It really was.
I just remember they did so good with like the Disney Channel promos during that time because I was a big
Oh,
fan of like all things Disney, and you would see it on like Disney 365 or like Disney 411 all the time.
yes. Yes, and it was amazing just to kind of see just how it was snowballing into this amazing thing that was way beyond what the film ever experienced when it first came out. So it was just kind of like we're bringing a new voice to a show that to a story that should be told and it should be presented. So it was really incredible to see that reaction night after night. Yeah.
Yes, and probably sold out performance after sold out performance.
Yeah, then once we and then we did and then the show ran for 2 years. It did 1,005 shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then then it went on tour, and
Yes, it
then
did.
you all came back and filmed it at Pantages for Disney Plus.
So it's amazing just how the show has given all of us. I say all the time, the show is the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. It really is.
What was the coolest thing that you got to do while being a part of that show?
Oh, there were tons of different things. We got to be on Dancing with the Stars. We did an appearance on there. We did an appearance for the Christmas Day Parade, which was amazing. So a few of us Newsies got to perform with the cast members in Disney World, and we had like 600 dancers from different
Oh
studios
my
across the
goodness.
country join us as Newsies down Main Street. And we performed Carrying the Banner. It really was just, a culmination of so many just appreciation that Disney had for the show, that many people had for the show, and it really was ripe for the time for dance to be present and for Disney to kind of be like, let's do a dance show. So it was those opportunities that Disney provided for us were truly, amazing. Yeah.
What was the hardest number in the show? Just by
The curtain,
curiosity.
the curtain call.
Oh, okay. Why? I know.
Because I'll tell you exactly why. So you do a 2.5 hour show, right?
Yes.
And by the curtain call, you think that probably you had finished your show. You're just gonna take your bow and that's it. That was not the case at Newsies. That was not the case. We had to give the audience one more kick, one more turn, one more fist pump to the sky, before they could sing all those songs out the door. So that was that because you just poured your heart and soul into it, and then you just do, and then you do a curtain call, and then so that was the toughest one for sure.
You like have to keep that stamina going. How did you do that 8 times a week? It's like keep the stamina up.
Well, it's all about conditioning and discipline and making sure that you're ready to go, make sure that you're properly warmed up and taking care of yourself. And I would come to the theater early and start warming up and stretching. So I would,
Dedication.
oh yeah, so it's all about just preparation and making sure that you are as ready as you can be to do that show, because that show is not a walk in the park. That shows it's the second hardest show that I've ever done.
Listen, I'm not a good dancer already, but I've tried some of the choreography in that show, and like, nope, can't. Would probably die if
It's
I did
tricky.
it.
It's tricky, but it's demanding. It's incredibly athletic. And
Yes.
and then for fun fact, we were doing that show on a steel deck. So because the towers, we have three-story towers that weighed
Oh my.
tons. So we needed to have a deck that supported the towers. So it was not a sprung floor. It was not a sprung deck. We had a steel deck.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Did you ever count how many like turns and leaps are in the show?
No, but you know what? I believe Jacob Guzman, my good buddy Jacob Guzman, we were doing a put-in rehearsal one time for I think it was an understudy or a swing or replacement, and he had a Fitbit, and he was able. I think the Fitbit was able to calculate exactly how many steps he took throughout the course of that run through between
Oh,
any choreography on stage, all the steps going up and down those flights of stairs. I don't even know. I don't even know how many calories he broke. I don't even know.
I imagine it's like at least 3 or 4 days of a workout.
It's something. It really, it keeps you on your toes for that matter. But it was amazing to be like, all right, we're doing it. The show is a workout, but you need to work out. You need to make sure that you're ready for that workout every time.
Yes. What's the what was the most challenging thing about dancing on newspapers?
Well, newspapers have a life of their own. So you have to know how to, maneuver and, figure things out, so that you can read their mind sometime.
Yeah.
But if you know where it's going, you know how you can operate it, especially with the choreography. But sometimes you never know. Like a newspaper could fly off and you just have to make sure you get it back in, slide it back in. But they do have a mind of their own. It's just about making sure that and also the spontaneity of it is really exciting because the audience gets to see something new.
Yes, every night. Like, you
Yeah.
all think fast on your feet.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, I can imagine, like, someone, like, in the front row coughs and the newspaper just goes flying.
Well, that definitely happens here and there to where a newspaper flies and you just trying to like, "Oh, get it back in." Yeah.
Okay, bye.
But yeah. And a lot of us would clock each other, be like, "Oh, someone lost their newspaper." Okay.
Sorry. And then there's the blocking, like, on top of that. Like, y'all have to, like, there's so many people on stage at the same
Oh
time.
yeah.
And you'll, like, have to be aware of, like, your surroundings, who's next to you.
And
Like,
we were doing like dosey does and like we were coming through each other, going underneath each other too with the newspapers underneath our feet. So, it was like an obstacle course every night.
you're like, don't trip anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. Just, just your regular Tuesday evening show.
Yeah, just your regular Tuesday evening. No, doing exhausting dances.
Yes.
Yes. So I want to talk about Cats because you were on the national tour of Cats, and I think that Cats is one of the coolest things to talk about because of the makeup. So
Yeah.
did you do your own makeup? I think.
I did. Every actor does their own makeup for Cats.
So how long did that take you to perfect?
Well, at the beginning it took 45 minutes, but I was able to get it down to 30 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, by yourself. That's impressive.
Because I do not have the nice, thin, touch to do my own makeup. So I had to learn. At first, it looked atrocious. It looked very just not like a cat at all. It just looked like a thing. Didn't even look like a cat. It just looked like a thing. And then with practice and just understanding the line and the design of the makeup, I got it down. And my color palette for Mungojerrie, I played Mungojerrie. My color palette was like orange and yellow and brown, so it was like a harvest.
So you've tackled a lot in your career. What's on your current bucket list, and what is your dream role?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot, like you said. I've been very lucky, but I'd like to conceive my own work at some point. I'd like to direct and choreograph and possibly just, spearhead some ideas for shows and different ideas for musicals or short films. I'm also a writer, and during the pandemic I dove into songwriting as well. So I'd like to continue with that route and also maybe do a little more musical theater songwriting and collaborating on that realm. I was a part of a initiative called This Empty Space, and we developed a 10-minute musical. So I was a part of that. And I'd like to just continue working. If anything on stage, I've done a lot of ensemble stuff for sure that have featured me quite nicely. I'd like to hopefully continue that. If not, do more principal work if those opportunities do arise. But yeah, I think the key thing is just to kind of stay creative. That's the key thing too, and also to stay challenged because a lot of stuff, if it just becomes stale, it's not creative. So the goal is to just try to find projects whenever, if I'm a part of or if I'm working on or if I'm spearheading or conceiving on my own, is trying to stay active, creatively active, And also for me as a dancer, just to kind of dance as long as I can until I'm like, I could just, you know, take
Yeah.
off these dance shoes and just put them up for today.
And like feel proud of all your accomplishments, which
Well,
I mean you should, period, feel proud of all your accomplishments.
thank you. I mean, I'm very grateful for, the opportunities that I met, but also for the people that I met, and the connections, and just the artists that I've gotten to work with on different shows. So yeah.
Yes. So lastly, where can people follow you on social media? And do you have anything you'd like to promote real quick?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to do
Of
so.
course.
You can follow me on Instagram, JLeProtto_official. I'm also on Twitter, D8Jess, D8, like date Jess, but it's not a date thing. D8Jess. I'm also on Facebook as Jess LeProtto. My YouTube channel's Jess LeProtto as well. Coming up on May 22nd, I'll be doing my cabaret show at GreenRoom42.
I'll put the links in the link in the description.
Oh, thank you. So, and yeah, so we did a show back in January. I'm very excited that we're going to be doing it in May. I'm currently doing The Wanderer, the musical, the world premiere of the show The Wanderer at Papermill Playhouse. So we're there until April 24th as of right now. And then after that, I'll be appearing in the company of A Beautiful Noise, which is the story about Neil Diamond, which is premiering in Boston this summer. So I'll be with that as well.
So you're busy, and people can also see you on Disney Plus on West Side Story, and I mean Newsies if they want to.
Yes,
If they haven't seen Newsies already or want to rewatch for the millionth time.
They can get Jess LeProtto 24/7.
Yes, I mean why not? And why not? So all the links will be in the description and lower thirds. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a blast tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, like, I know that the Newsies, we are gonna have a good time celebrating the 10th anniversary. But I thank you so much. It was so nice to speak with you and to do this. Thank you so much.
It was nice to speak with you too, and cheering you all on from Texas. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.